at C curve. I'm curious about, well, DriveNets could have to bring your cost down, your disaggregation as well. One of the things we always talk about the show, where we're talking about step income, is the ability to create a new revenue generating services, right? Because you're bringing your bottom line down, but you got to bring the top line up. And I'm curious with the concept of convergence and disaggregation. What are some of those services new services you think you can monetize?
Want me to take it?
Anyone?
So I can take it. That's no way.
Okay. It's like
So I wish I had a crystal ball, because if I had, I would have given you a right answer. But I don't. The only thing that I know is whatever we have today, it's not going to be there tomorrow. And how do I actually think about a network architecture that can evolve? I can push it, I can pull it, I can actually get it to fit what the use case of tomorrow is going to be. The other thing that I absolutely think is the use cases of tomorrow are going to come in faster and faster, which basically means that we will not have the time to re-architect the network and rethink it. So yes, we're talking about disaggregation, we're talking about core routing and everything else, but we need to think about it from an end-to-end perspective. So for example, in my company, we have DOCSIS, we have PON, we have wireless, we have, commercial business, we have Segra, we have dark fiber. In fact, we do provide a lot of dark fiber to my friends in AT&T for their backhaul. So, but again, that is what we know today. The difference is tomorrow's going to be a little bit different. So we have to think about it from a complete end-to-end perspective.
okay.
I can add a perspective. At the end of the day, our network is our product. That's what we do. And if we're moving from a point on which, from an idea until we can put something in the market, if we're moving from months and years to something that we can do way faster, we have achieved a lot. I know that in many cases, when we talk about open and disaggregation, the first question that comes to mind is, how did you drive your cost down? It's important. There's no doubt that's a major driver for those transformation. But at the same time, as you said, if we're not going to use it for converging security into the network, like we're doing with dynamic defense, like doing things like AT&T Turbo on our wireless network, the ability to iterate quickly, take advantage of the fact that the network is more configurable, programmable, the data is way more exposed, intelligence is way more exposed, and it helps us to move way faster in creating new product and services.
Yeah, something here. I think it's a good point on where the revenue opportunity was. I think a couple of years ago, nobody thought, some of these silicon companies are going to have $1 trillion market cap. Even the best analysts out there wouldn't have forecasted revenue growth, right? I would say we are living in an era where, for the first time, distributed computing is taking off at a massive scale. Now, most people, when you go and ask them the difference between cloud computing and distributed computing, they can't explain it to you. Okay, but think about it very simply. In the world of cloud computing, any one application never fully, pushed the CPU. So you took a CPU, you used a hypervisor, virtualized it, right? The role that network played was not that significant. You provided some segmentation and so on and so forth. But today we're living in a world of distributed computing where the network is the computer. Okay. This is what Sun had the foresight of saying it 20, 30 years ago. I couldn't understand what they said then. But now, when you think about it, in distributed computing, network is the computer. In machine learning, AI, it is a distributed computing problem. Any one GPU cannot do the workload. It's a distributed computing problem. When it is a distributed computing problem, first thing you can say is, look, I can try to fit it inside the rack. Then you'll say, well, I'll try to fit it inside the data center. Then they'll say, look, none of these data centers have been built to have multiple gigawatts of power out there. I'll give you an interesting statistic. Today, my understanding is all of one of the large cloud guys have about 3 to 4 gigawatts of power available to their cloud data centers. They're going to be building 4 to 8 gigawatts going forward. What this means is people are going where there is fiber, where there's power and space. They're not looking to wait to build these huge nuclear reactors and so on and so forth. So network is the computer is going to play an extremely important role. So if you are a service provider who owns the fiber already, has the right of ways already, and you can now throw away your junk equipment that's not only not giving you the bandwidth, but actually give you bandwidth at scale at the cost structure that is needed, you can actually be the core of this network being the computer. So I think the possibilities are very different than the world that we used to live in the network. I think there's something to keep in mind. Now, if can any one of us imagine what the next step is going to be? I don't know. But what I can tell you is the network is the computer. You need the fiber. You need to be able to move this data very, very quickly from point A to point B.